In the near future, Japan's economy is close to collapsing. Crime rates, suicide, and unemployment are at an all-time high. Sea Control follows Yoga Kimimaro, a university student only wanting to pass by in life. He saves up money working 2 jobs and studies late in order to try and just become a civil servant. However, his entire situation changes when a strange enigma named Masakaki shows up at his house and invites him to join the financial district, another dimension parallel to our own. This is when the show gets especially interesting. When the concept of the financial district is introduced, so many new possibilities open up. Here's a quick rundown. In order to enter the financial district, one must trade their own future as collateral. This future gets a physical embodiment, known as an asset. Controllers of assets are entrepreneurs, or entrees for short. Entrees have at least one battle, known as a deal, per week. Since an entree's future is held in exchange for money, money you lose in the financial district affects the real world. It's a really cool premise, but does it deliver up to its potential? For the most part, yeah. C does a very good job of showing the effects of deals on the real world. And it's not like it's only shown once, either. They really monopolize on the idea, but don't exploit it to the point where it's an old trick. The story is also paced very well. It takes its time to introduce new concepts and characters over time, instead of just shoving it all in one expository episode. Another good thing is the fact that it continues to raise more questions about what's happening, and keeps viewers in the dark just enough to encourage them to continue watching to the end. And the end is really good. Even without being shadowy, the story is very compelling and smart. For the most part. The story does a good job keeping some secrets, but at the end, some stuff goes unanswered still. And while the story is brilliantly crafted otherwise, Episode 6 is really badly written. Let me give you the abridged version. Hi, if I lose a lot of money, it'll terribly affect the real world. So how about I pay you the fee for you to pass on our deal? It'll have no effect on the real world, and you don't lose any money. What should I do, Mikuni? I have no reason at all not to take his offer, causing no inner conflict. He's a spoiled rich kid. Think about all the people who can't afford much at all. But he's giving that money to those people. Don't be a pussy. Like, where did that come from? There's no reason for him to be fighting this guy. And does it lead to a cool fight scene? No. It entirely skips the climax of the fight and never shows it. Other than that, the story's really good. So the story gets a thumbs up, but will viewers enjoy the aesthetics? Sure. Well, the animation is nothing groundbreaking. In fact, a little strange looking. It has a certain charm to it. The fight scenes are wonderfully animated, though. There's one fight where the running animation seems a bit off, but it's not there long enough to be distracting. The only other thing that can be said is CGI never looks good mixed with normal animation. Stop it. Stop it! Both the sound effects and the music are spectacular. The music is not only great for mood setting, but they're also really fun to listen to. Tracks like Bondage Head or The Wealth of Nations are especially cool. Go look them up. As for the sound effects, they're phenomenal. In the fight scenes especially, there are some brilliant ones. And the voice filters were like my favorite thing ever. Listen guys, it was really good. It was really good. The last aspect of C that I'd like to go over is the quality of the sub versus the quality of the dub. So the dub. When I watched the first scene in the dub to compare it to the sub, I cringed. It's such a heavy scene where the first guy the show follows is supposed to sound very desperate, but it just ends up sounding mad.
I didn't come here to gamble, I'm fighting you because I need the money! Yeah?
But after that, the dub was surprisingly good aside from a couple gripes. The only other noteworthy problem is the announcer voice. In the sub, the announcer voices were really cool because they would enunciate every word, making it especially cool to listen to.
Open deal!
Open deal!
In the dub, the announcers talk like any other person, so they seem a bit bored by comparison. Keep in mind, this doesn't mean that I think the sub is almighty or anything. Oh no. See, the sub has a very large problem itself. I assume the writer knew a good amount of English, so there's a good amount of it in the show. And while it's cool to hear the announcers speak English, the other characters' presentations range from impressive to laughable. Aside from that, both versions are still very strong, and it's really up to personal preference as to which one viewers should watch. Overall, Sea Control was a highly enjoyable series. There was the occasional hiccup here and there, but it's nothing that big. Aside from episode 6. The story, sounds, and visuals from both the sub and the dub stood above so many others. C gets a high recommendation.